Chris, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the final talk of the afternoon. This is about marginal gains. It's been a real pillar of Sky's success story.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
Thanks for having me here, firstly. Marginal gains, I think Dave Brailsford has spoken quite a bit in length about it. But it really is, I think, if anything, it sets a mindset within the team that everyone on the team is looking at all the different aspects of performance and breaking those down and in essence, trying to find better ways of doing things.
So give me some examples. What kind of thing are we talking about here? What makes a marginal gain?
I mean, even very little silly things. Things that would seem obvious from the outside. Things like using hand gel. Having hand gel at all the main sort of points on once you get on the bus, once you get to the table, once you get to your room, just having a little thing of hand gel there, just to make sure you're always sanitized. I mean, the thing is, so much of the time it sounds silly, but we really are on that edge of. I mean, we push our bodies absolutely to the limits, day in, day out. So we are on the edge of our immune systems crashing, and we're very susceptible to picking up little bugs along the way. So in a 3-week race, that's a disaster. I mean, if you get sick, you're very rarely going to recover from that.
And so I suppose it's about missing less training days because of illness, and it's about maximize the amount of time you are healthy and at your best.
Certainly. So, I mean, also trying to replicate that. We've got a certain sort of race environment where every hotel that we go to in the evenings, I mean, things like our bedding, our mattresses are taken from hotel to hotel, so you get basically the same night's sleep for every night on a grand tour. And I mean, that's just one of the little things. And I think the thing about marginal gains is it's not necessarily because you're sleeping on that mattress and that pillow that's going to win you the Tour de France. I mean, that's ridiculous. Everyone would just laugh at you if you said that. But it's the accumulation of all these little things put together. It's from a nutritional point of view, just evaluating exactly what our requirements are and making sure we have the right supplements that go with it. We're not just taking supplements straight from a supplement manufacturer and saying, right, guys, here you go, use that, and off you go. It's working with those supplement manufacturers to actually make something that's going to be easy on the gut. You're not going to feel acidity. You're not going to get bloating. I mean, just thinking about every little detail, breaking it down, and all those combined factors basically attribute to the performance at the end of the day.
And cycling's quite a traditional sport. Well, it was perhaps before Team Sky came along. So what was the reaction when you went in with this very scientific approach to it?
Certainly. I mean, cycling really is a very traditional sport. I think a lot of the bosses of some of the teams, a lot of the management of a lot of the teams are ex-bike riders themselves. And so their way of thinking would be to basically say to guys, okay, this is how I raced, that's pass it on, and tradition just carries on like that. So you can imagine the image of a new British team coming onto the system saying, right, we're going to do things differently, we're going to challenge these traditions, we're going to try and modernize the sport. We've got a big, fancy, flashy black bus that everyone hates.
The Death Star, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not only are we going to do that, but we're going to try and win the Tour de France with a British rider in the next 5 years. And I think a lot of people did turn around and laugh at Sir Dave Brailsford when he said that initially.
Even within the sport?
Even within the sport. I think a lot of people said, listen, you've got people who haven't come from a cycling background. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about here. And to Dave B's credit, I mean, we've now won the Tour de France 3 times in the past 6 years. So as a new team on the block, it really has been a remarkable performance.
And what does it do for the team spirit or the ethic of the culture in the team, this marginal gains mindset? What does it do for all of you?
So I think you've hit the nail on the head there. So more than you've got the marginal gain and the actual performance benefit that you'll get from doing all these little things. But I think more than that, and the bigger picture is you then end up with a whole team of guys. You've got 75 people, 80 people, all the staff, riders across the board, thinking about every little thing they're doing, every little detail, and it's a very positive mindset to have, and it's great. I mean, you really do feel a buzz. You go into a training camp with the team, and from everyone, from the chefs to the soigneurs, the carers, the people who look after us and do our massage and that kind of stuff, to the mechanics working on our bikes, to senior management, the guys in the cars behind us, giving us directions and what we need to do on the road. Just across the board, if everyone's thinking in that kind of mindset of challenging, how can we do things better? Yes, we've won the Tour de France X number of times, but actually that's not enough. We can't just remain like that. Otherwise, other teams are going to be catching up. Other teams, our rivals are getting stronger. We have to constantly evolve. We've got to be thinking about what we can do better. And I think for myself personally, this past Tour de France, it went extremely well. I mean, okay.
You won.
I
it can't go any better.
I won it, but I mean, if I'm brutally honest, I came away from the Tour de France thinking I wasn't good enough. I only won one mountaintop finish. I should have won more. I should have been up there more. And it has made me come away from the Tour and think, hold on, what do I need to change with my training so that next year around I can be more consistent. I can be up there a little bit more than I was this year.
Does it also mean that maybe you don't get to enjoy your victories as much as you might, or is that just a price you have to pay for continued success?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, especially in the cycling world. It feels as if it just moves so quickly. You finish a mass. I mean, you spend all year working towards the Tour de France, and the second it's over, you're already looking at what's the next race. It's the World Tour or it's the World Championships. You're already on to the next thing. There's very little time to actually absorb being in that moment. It's quite a strange feeling, but I think it's quite a common trait amongst sportsmen that, especially in our field, you just have to be looking at the next thing, otherwise you will slow down.
It's quite unusual for a business or for a team to look at their weaknesses, I suppose, and maybe they work on their strengths and make their strengths stronger. How difficult is it to start by saying, actually, I'm not good at that, we've got to improve on that, because that's something people don't tend to do?
I think that's actually a great position to be in. I mean, a lot of people ask me, I mean, how do I, after crashing out of the Tour de France in 2014, when I'd won the year before and I attempted to go and try and back it up the year afterwards, and I crashed out after a few days only. People ask, I mean, how do you pick yourself up from a disappointment like that? But actually, those disappointments are probably, I mean, they're fantastic, they're great. I mean, it really brings you straight back down to earth. They're very humbling. And it does give you that sort of level of motivation that you want to get back to your best again. I think what's more dangerous is perhaps moving on from a very successful position where you felt as if everything has gone right, it has gone towards plan. I think you run the danger of running into that complacency.
You talked about complacency and not letting that come into your thinking. So when you have won it 3 times out of 6 or 2 out of 3, how do you get that mindset and jog yourself out of even allowing that to come into your mind? Has it ever come into your mind? Do you even...
I think, I mean, you don't realize when it does sneak up on you. I think you just, in a way, go into a mindset of thinking, okay, well, I know how to do it, I know how to train, I know how to get ready, right, I'll be fine. Whereas I don't believe that's true. I think especially now more than ever, I've got to be reevaluating what I'm doing and try and find those extra gains in there. I think this year, one thing that was a bit of a blessing in disguise, but at the time felt terrible, was crashing out of the Vuelta a España, the Tour of Spain, just a couple months ago. Crashed out and broke the navicular bone in my foot. At the time, it felt as if, the months of training out the window. But at the same time, it really does. I mean, it's left me feeling like I've got to get back, and that's going to be a massive motivation for me next season to try and do the Tour and maybe not end the season there, go on to other things, maybe look at the Olympics. I'm flying over to Rio tomorrow morning to go and have a look at the Olympic route and see exactly what we're up against there.
It's a big year, isn't it, 2016? How do you look at those priorities? You know, a third Tour de France versus potentially an Olympic gold medal on a, as you just said to me, quite a hilly course that might suit you pretty well.
Certainly. I mean, it's always a bit of a gamble, a one-day race, like the Olympic road race or the Olympic time trial. I'd say my focus has got to be on the Tour de France, and hope that I come out of it in good enough shape that I can then realistically aim to go into the Olympics 2 weeks later. It's certainly not going to be easy, and I think that's part of the reason for going over there tomorrow. I need to just have a look at the route and just see exactly what I'm up against and how I can even think about preparing for that.
Well, does it change the way you prepare for the Tour? Do you have to not keep something back, but do you have to have it in the back of your mind, or is that dangerous?
I think from a mental point of view, it's physically. However I come out of the Tour, the racing is going to decide that. I can't change that throughout the race. It's not as if I'll be able to hold something back in the Tour de France, knowing that I've got the Olympics coming up. But I think more from a mental point of view, knowing that the end point is not the Tour de France, knowing that come the end of the Tour de France, it'd be great to have a drink with my teammates come the end, whichever way it goes. But I know that I've got to watch things at that point. I've still got to stay on it and make sure I get to the Olympics in the best shape possible.
Where does marginal gains stop, Chris? When do you allow yourself to come out of that mindset? You've had a month or two off the bike.
Yeah.
He's about to become a parent for the first time as well. Does that ever slip out of your mind? Do you ever let yourself relax and come away from it?
I think during the season, certainly for 10 months of the year, it's full on. It's in everything you do. It's not just applied to your sport. It's a way of life. You're looking at everything that passes your lips. You're looking at your sleep, the amount of time you spend on your legs after training. It's just absolutely everything you do basically for 10 months. So I think for me, this time of year is fantastic. I love it. This is the one time of year I can just switch off, and especially having a broken foot, I wasn't able to ride at all. So I did start feeling like I was going a bit crazy after 10 days and actually had to start swimming just to do something. But I think it's only normal to have that reset every year, put on a few kilos, and then come November, I'm ready. I can't wait to get back into it again.
And how important is it for you to keep winning, to win year after year after year, to show your critics or your doubters that you are going to be the champion of the Tour de France year after year after year?
Yeah, I mean, certainly for me, it doesn't feel as if I'm here trying to prove anything necessarily, and I'm not trying to silence any critics. So, I mean, that's not a motivation for me. I'm a lot more driven by the actual sporting element of the Tour de France. I mean, for me, it's such a beautiful event, and in cycling, it's the biggest event, and it's a way of measuring success, if you like, in our field. So, for me, going back year after year, I mean, it's especially since times have changed, since Lance Armstrong's era, no cyclist has ever won multiple Tour de France titles, especially since the biological passport has come into effect in 2009. So I mean, for me, that's a great motivation in itself, and to try and win back-to-back titles, it takes some doing.
And is it something you feel that you've got to put right from the last time because you had that difficult crash in 2014? Is it something that niggles away at the back of your mind that I want to defend it? Does that mean something to you?
Yeah, I mean, there are just so many factors that come into play when you're targeting a race like the Tour de France. Even in 2014, the route seemed perfect for me. It seemed like a fantastic route, but it's just the nature of the sport. It's so unforgiving that you can, in a split second, just lose months of work, not only by you, but a whole team of people working specifically towards that event. Of course, I mean, next year the route looks favorable, certainly a lot more favorable than this year's route. But it's, I mean, I know that I'm also in the hands of of fate a little bit. If whatever happens out on the road happens, and there's just some things I can't control.
Do you like being the guy that everyone else is looking at, trying to knock off the top spot? Is that, I mean, because even in your own team, I know you want to go back and show that you're still kind of top dog. You don't want anyone to question that. How important is it to stay there, to be the guy everyone else is shooting at?
Yeah, I mean, certainly there comes a certain level of pressure that comes with being in that pole position of just having won the Tour de France. I think our team for next year really has made some amazing signings to boost the strength of the team. But even amongst my teammates, I mean, I think it's important between us that we have a little bit of that rivalry. We definitely do push each other to the limits on training camps and even during the races. I mean, everyone's got their role to play, but everyone has to find that sort of hierarchy of where they fit in the team and that whole team dynamic at the same time.
And just bringing it back to marginal gains, once you've improved all those things that needed improving, how do you keep on improving? How do you keep on looking for weaknesses? Are they always there?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly feel there's no end point. It's not, we don't have the winning formula that you just go back and replicate it year on year. It's, I mean, it's a good formula, we know it works, but it can always do with improving. The sport is developing in so many different ways, becoming more data-driven, becoming more analytical about past performances and everything else. I think it's only normal that we keep challenging that and looking for ways to improve as a team.
And are you finding other teams copying now what you've done, or at least becoming more scientific in their approach, you know, going away from that traditional kind of approach to cycling teams?
Yeah, I mean, in quite a few of the little things that the team has implemented, it's been interesting to watch over the past 5-6 years that other teams have actually copying what we've been doing, and I think that's a reason more than ever why we need to keep improving and keep evolving. I mean, just a little example, I think in 2010 or 11, once our performance coach, Tim Kerrison, said that we need to be doing warm downs after a stage. So after a 200-kilometer stage through the mountains, you've got to then get on a turbo trainer by the bus and do another 10 minutes of pedaling. And a lot of people, the other guys passing us, riding back to their buses, would be laughing, going like, what are these idiots doing? They're just making themselves tired. But slowly, one by one, you start seeing other teams pulling out the indoor trainers and other riders getting on the home trainers to start basically just flushing out the lactic acid, especially when you finish at full tilt sprinting for the line or whatever it is. You need to try and flush the legs out, and it's just one little thing that we implemented. That was quite interesting to see teams slowly tagging on and doing the same.
And what about you and the future? I mean, it's arguably the most grueling sporting event in the world. How many can you do, and how taxing is it on your body? How long can you sustain that?
Good question. Good question. I think that's something I'm just going to have to evaluate myself on a year-to-year basis. And I mean, you have seen guys in the past go into their 40s, 41, 42, and still be winning some of the biggest bike races out there. So I think because I came into the sport relatively late, and I only feel as if I only really started developing in the past couple of years as a GC contender, that I'd like to think I still have quite a few years left in me. But at the same time, I think it's very much on what your body can cope with, and also your personal situation. As you pointed out, I've got a little one on the way in December. I can't wait, but of course life is going to be very different, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot more difficult to spend long periods of time away from home, up on volcanoes training and up at altitude.
Yeah, that's much harder than winning the Tour de France being a father, isn't it?
I imagine so. I'm a lot more intimidated by that.
Chris Froome, thank you very much indeed.
Great, thank you.